Hello everyone, this is Fahad Mirza and I welcome you to my channel. Recently, I covered this DeepSeek V3 model and I felt that this model outperformed a lot of other models in closed source and also the open source arena. And that is where a lot of comments came through, and I also received some other feedback that how about if we compare these models and then see which one is better overall holistically. So what I did is that I have a personal project which I am trying to build on the side just during this sort of off period, and I tried that out on all these three models which you can see on your screen: DeepSeek V3, and then Anthropic's Claude Sonnet and GPT-4o model for the same task. And these are the findings which I am going to share with you as is from those testing. And let me show you the task which I was trying to do. So this is a task where I am building a sentiment analysis chatbot, and there are four requirements around it. First and foremost, it should use Microsoft Azure's cognitive services for sentiment analysis, and not only it should be building the code from scratch, but also some of the customization, some of the tool use, some of the chain of thought or multi-step reasoning. Plus, there is a lot of looping, lot of conditioning, and lot of custom instructions are involved. I'm not going to go into the detail of it because it took me around 6 to 7 hours to test all of these three models on different use cases. But I'm going to present you what I found from those testing in terms of cost, time it took eventually when everything was ready, and then some of the other benchmarks which I feel that always come handy whenever you are building a production AI application powered by these LLMs. Now there are a lot of other good LLMs available like Llama 405 billion, 70 billion, and of course Quen model. But for these, I just wanted to compare this DeepSeek V3 because I feel that it is at par with we have seen with a lot of other models. Especially, I am quite keen to see how open source is now performing after all these months. So that is a prime idea behind it. So if I take you to this table, this is what I have found out after my testing. Now, this by no means is a final verdict. Your use case might differ, your requirements might differ, your experience might differ. So, but this is what I have found out on the basis of the task which I shown you. And of course, I have done a lot of iterations and then I have settled down onto these numbers which might vary. So if you look at here, what is happening that in conclusion, if you just want TLDR so that you could move on, uh, DeepSeek V3 has outperformed all the other models, including Anthropic's Claude and GPT-4o, on almost every benchmark, as you can see here. But now let's try to see in detail what has happened here. If you look at the Claude model, which is Claude Sonnet, one of the best models I would say Anthropic has ever produced, the cost is relatively low than GPT-4o, and that was a surprise for me because in the past I have found out that Anthropic's model have always been very expensive, so much so that I never actually used them in any of the production project I did. So that is where I was very surprised to see that Claude Sonnet Anthropic model even uh, beat this GPT-4o from OpenAI. But this comes with a caveat that you have to make sure that your prompt is right for Anthropic's Claude, otherwise the cost could balloon out. So that is one of the drawback. But with DeepSeek, I think that was really cool. So in terms of cost, I think DeepSeek is amazing. Just 10 cents, and I didn't have to tinker much with my prompt. It was reasoning very well, it was slicing and dicing the response, and it was going quite well. And that actually has also made me think that maybe I will also try it out with QWQ model from Quen, which is also a very good reasoning model, but that is a discussion for another time. Secondly, I tested it these things out on chain of thought or multi-steps, at how it actually attacks the problem, how it goes step by step. And here you can see that Claude's model is quite good, I would say, in terms of chain of thought. and also the DeepSeek model, whereas GPT-4o was struggling with that task, which was quite surprising for me because OpenAI's models are quite good in chain of thought. But anyway, it seems that open source has got up a lot, which is quite good. Very, very a refreshing thing to see. And then the overall functionality it produced for the code was excellent for DeepSeek, really excellent. And it was really easy to produce that, whereas for GPT-4o and C Sonnet, the functionality was okay, but not bad at all. But still, I had to do a lot of tinkering, and then there was a lot of blanks which I had to fill in order for that to work. Now, when it comes to time, this is where DeepSeek's model struggled a bit because there was a lot of latency. I mean, not, yeah, there was latency, I would say. Plus, it took a bit of a time. I'm not sure. Maybe that is why the quality is there. So there is a time difference you can see on the um, table 2, whereas GPT-4o was again quite latent. So that was a bit of a surprise for me, whereas Sonnet really performed well. In terms of tool use, function calling, I think GPT-4o still has a lot of edge there. Maybe because they have this integration with Microsoft, and I was using Azure here for cognitive services, so might be there was some bias there, but I'm not sure. But I have to be fair, so I think GPT-4o performed quite well when it comes to tool use, even for web searches and all that stuff. Whereas DeepSeek was not really as good as it was in rest of the benchmarks, whereas Claude Sonnet was as good as it always have been. So I think based on the scenario which I showed you earlier, this one, I think DeepSeek has come a long, long way. If you look at their version 1 and version 2, this version 3 has outperformed other models in terms of most of the stuff, including cost and time and tool usage. Not time, sorry, the chain of thought functionality and tool use is good for GPT-4o, I would say. And one thing which really stood out for me in terms of understanding the context is that DeepSeek really did well. It completed tasks efficiently, which makes it really excellent choice for building complex applications like this sentiment analysis chatbot. And so for me, the number one is DeepSeek V3. Number two is Claude Sonnet, which is a close second. And but it has got its limitation with Azure Cognitive Services integration, and then bit of I think cost is a bit higher, but GPT-4o really high cost, and for some reason mediocre performance, and so in this case it was the least desirable option for me. But this is my thought, again, totally, as per my use case. Let me know your thoughts if you have any project in pipeline. So I think I would be very keen to know your experience with not only these models. If you have been using other models, please share them in the comments. That's it. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you think. If you like the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're already subscribed, please share it among your network as it helps. Thank you for watching.